In the dead of night, under the glittering lights of the city's most opulent hotel, a single gunshot shattered the silence. Mark Thompson, a weary single dad just finishing his graveyard shift as a janitor, froze in the shadows of the alley. But what happened next wasn't just a heroic act, it was the spark that ignited a chain of events no one saw coming. Imagine a man who's lost everything, stepping into danger without a second thought, only to have his world flipped upside down by two simple words, sir. If this story grabs you from the start, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more tales that prove everyday heroes walk among us. You won't want to miss how this one unfolds. Mark had always been the quiet type, the kind of guy who blended into the background like the faded wallpaper in his tiny apartment. At 38, he was raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, all on his own after his wife, Sarah, passed away from cancer 2 years earlier. The grief still clung to him like a heavy coat, weighing down his every step. By day, he worked odd jobs, fixing leaky faucets, mowing lawns, but nights were reserved for the Grand Royale Hotel, where he scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins until the sun crept over the horizon. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, barely. Lily's medical bills from her own asthma attacks piled up, and Mark often skipped meals to ensure she had her inhalers. One day at a time, he'd whisper to himself, staring at Sarah's photo on his nightstand. But deep down, he wondered if he'd ever feel whole again. That fateful night started like any other. Mark clocked out at 2 a.m., his back aching from hours bent over a mop. The hotel's grand entrance buzzed with late-night arrivals, limousines pulling up, doormen in crisp uniforms ushering in the elite. He slipped out the side door into the cool autumn air, heading toward the bus stop a block away. That's when he heard the scream. Sharp, terrified, cutting through the hum of distant traffic. Without thinking, Mark dropped his backpack and sprinted toward the sound. Around the corner, in the dimly lit valet area, a masked man in a black hoodie had a woman pinned against a sleek black Mercedes. He waved a pistol wildly, demanding her purse and jewelry. The woman, elegant in a tailored evening gown, trembled as she fumbled with her diamond necklace. "Please, don't hurt me," she begged, her voice breaking. The robber snarled, "Shut up and hand it over." Mark's heart pounded like a drum. He wasn't a fighter, hell, he hadn't thrown a punch since high school, but something primal kicked in. Memories of Sarah's helpless final days flashed before him, the beeping machines, the sterile hospital smell, his inability to save her. He couldn't stand by and watch another life unravel. "Hey!" Mark shouted, his voice steadier than he felt. The robber spun around, gun trained on him. "Mind your business, pal." But Mark didn't back down. He lunged forward, tackling the man like a linebacker from his old football days. They crashed to the pavement in a tangle of limbs. The gun skidded across the asphalt, and Mark pinned the robber's arms, grunting with effort. The woman screamed again, but this time it was mixed with relief. Hotel security, alerted by the commotion, burst out the doors moments later, wrestling the robber into submission. Sirens wailed in the distance as police arrived. Panting and bruised, Mark pushed himself up, his janitor's uniform torn and dirty. The woman, still shaking, approached him cautiously. She was stunning, mid-40s, with sharp features and an air of quiet authority. Her name was Elena Voss, though Mark didn't know that yet. She was the CEO of Voss Industries, a tech empire worth billions, in town for a high-profile conference. You saved my life," she whispered, her eyes wide with gratitude. Mark waved it off, rubbing his sore shoulder. "Anyone would have done it, ma'am." But then, her expression shifted, something like recognition dawned on her face. She straightened, composing herself, and said softly, "No, not anyone. Thank you, sir." The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. "Sir?" Mark blinked, confused. He wasn't a knight or a soldier, he was just a dad trying to make ends meet. But Elena's voice carried a weight, a respect that pierced through his exhaustion. As the police took statements, she insisted on staying by his side, her composure returning like armor. "What's your name?" she asked. "Mark Thompson," he replied, glancing at his watch. Lily would be waking soon for school, and he needed to get home. Elena nodded, her mind already racing. Little did Mark know, those 2 words were the beginning of something extraordinary. The next morning, Mark dragged himself out of bed, his body screaming in protest. Lily, with her bright blue eyes and messy ponytail, bounced into the kitchen. "Daddy, you're on the news," she exclaimed, pointing at the tiny TV. Sure enough, grainy security footage played on loop: Mark's tackle, the robber's arrest. "Local hero stops armed robbery at Grand Royale," the headline blared. Mark's phone buzzed non-stop, reporters, neighbors, even his estranged brother calling to congratulate him. But amidst the chaos, a sleek black car pulled up outside their rundown apartment building. A driver in a suit stepped out, holding an envelope. "From Ms. Voss," he said simply. Inside was a handwritten note: "Sir Mark, your bravery last night reminded me of true honor. Please join me for lunch today. We have much to discuss. Elena." "Sir Mark?" He chuckled at first, thinking it a joke, but curiosity won out. He arranged for a neighbor to watch Lily and drove his beat-up truck to the address, a penthouse suite overlooking the city. Elena greeted him at the door, no longer the frightened victim but a poised executive. "Come in, sir," she said with a warm smile. There it was again, that title, laced with something deeper. Over a lavish spread of food Mark could only dream of affording, Elena shared her story. She wasn't just any CEO, she came from old money, her family tracing back to European nobility. But more than that, she revealed a personal connection that left Mark speechless. "You look just like him," she said, pulling out a faded photo from her wallet. It showed a young man in military uniform, stern yet kind-eyed. "My father, Sir Reginald Voss. He was knighted for his service in the war. He saved lives too, just like you did for me." Mark stared at the photo. The resemblance was uncanny, same jawline, same quiet intensity. Elena explained how her father had died young, leaving her to build the family legacy alone. "I've spent years searching for that same spirit in people. Last night, I found it in you." But Elena's gratitude went beyond words. She had done her homework overnight. Discreet inquiries revealed Mark's struggles, the mounting bills, Lily's health issues, his thankless job. "I want to help," she said firmly. "Consider this a knighthood of sorts. Voss Industries has a scholarship fund for children of heroes. Lily's medical care? Covered. And you? I have a position open. Security consultant. No more mopping floors." Mark's eyes welled up. "Why me? I'm nobody." Elena leaned forward. "Because you're everything my father was, a man of quiet strength, putting others first. You earned that, sir, more than any title could bestow." The challenges didn't end there, though. Mark hesitated at first. Pride warred with practicality, he wasn't one for handouts. And integrating into Elena's world brought its own hurdles. At his new job, colleagues whispered about the janitor hero, doubting his qualifications. Lily, excited by the changes, a bigger apartment, better doctors, still missed the old routines, clinging to Mark during asthma flares. One night, as he tucked her in, she asked, "Daddy, are you a knight now?" He smiled through tears. "Only if you say so, kiddo." But the real test came when the robber's trial loomed. Mark had to testify, reliving the terror. Elena stood by him, her support unwavering, turning a potential breakdown into a moment of catharsis. As months passed, Mark transformed. He mentored young employees at Voss Industries, drawing from his blue-collar wisdom. Lily thrived, her laughter filling their new home. And Elena? She found a confidant in Mark, someone who saw beyond her wealth to the lonely woman beneath. Their friendship deepened, laced with mutual respect, no romance, just a bond forged in fire. One evening, at a company gala, Elena introduced him to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Mark Thompson, the man who saved my life and reminded us all what true heroism looks like." By the story's end, Mark stood on the hotel's balcony where it all began, staring at the city lights. He wasn't broken anymore, he was rebuilt, stronger. The inspiring message? Heroes aren't born in castles or boardrooms, they're made in the quiet battles of everyday life. A single act of courage can rewrite your story, turning loss into legacy. If Mark's journey moved you, smash that like button, it helps spread these uplifting tales. And subscribe now, who knows, the next story might inspire your own heroic moment. Remember, in a world full of chaos, be the one who steps up. You might just earn your own, sir.